Jesus came into this world to bring light to dark places. He came to give sight to the blind. And in John chapter 9, Jesus helps this man see not only physically, but spiritually. This story is the story about how God works the process of helping us see more clearly in our lives. What would you love to be able to see in a spiritual sense, in a relational sense, in a personal sense? Maybe it's I'd love to be able to see my marriage get better. I'd love to be able to see myself grow in my faith in a deeper way. I'd love to be able to see myself get lifted out of depression. I'd love to be able to see how God could use my life to help the world. I'd love to be able to see my anger get under control. I'd love to be able to be set free from fear. I'd love to be able to see me reconciling with my children or with my parents or with my siblings. I'd love to be able to see myself living a more contented life. The blind man asks for help, and Jesus says, hey, go and wash in the pool of Siloam. And the blind man had to say, hey, that's real original, Jesus. I do it every day. Why would you ask me to do it again? It's the same old thing. Yet he does it out of obedience, and what happens is he can see. A miracle happens. Too often I'm looking for the spectacular, and Jesus says, I just need you to do the ordinary. They always start miracles. They always start when somebody does something very ordinary in obedience to God. God wants to split the Red Sea. So he goes to Moses, hold up a stick. Hold up a stick, sounds pretty ordinary to me. He holds up a stick and the sea splits in two. God needs to feed 5,000 people. He asks a little boy to give a sack lunch of 5 slices of Wonder Bread and a few sardines. And the boy gives his lunch. Jesus multiplies it and feeds 5,000 with baskets of leftovers. God wants the walls of Jericho to fall down. So he says, guys, I need you to walk around the walls, play a little Louis Armstrong on your trumpets. Doesn't sound like that's a way to make walls fall down, but they do it. They take an ordinary step of obedience and the walls come a-fallen. God always asks for the ordinary, and then he will turn it into the extraordinary. Maybe it's time to make an ordinary phone call to a person you long to restore a relationship with. Maybe it's time to pray an ordinary prayer for something that you haven't prayed for in years. Maybe it's time to make an ordinary decision to see a counselor. You know, many in the last few weeks have just made an ordinary decision just to show up to Grief Share. And that ordinary decision, miracles are happening as hearts are being healed. Maybe it's time to make an ordinary decision to give to the work of God. Even when you think, what good could my giving do? It's so modest, it's so ordinary. Well, think about the boy with the sack lunch. God says, keep doing the ordinary. Love God, love your neighbor, love mercy, love justice, walk humbly, feed, clothe, visit, serve, give what you have, not what you don't have. Be kind, be compassionate, and God will take those simple acts of obedience and turns them into miracles.